8 Eastern.
They risk their lives fighting for this country. Now, two brothers who served in the Vietnam War say they face possible deportation to Mexico. Manuel and Valenzuela were born in Mexico to an American mother. The brothers say the threat of deportation shouldn't happen to veterans of the U.S. military. They took their protest to the U.S.-Mexican border Saturday, both dressed in their military uniforms. Both say they got caught up in the mess because of pleading guilty to misdemeanor crimes years ago. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement says the case would have been resolved years ago if the brothers had provided requested documents. Manuel and Valenzuela join me now. Also with us, immigration lawyer Raul Reyes. We'll get to you in a moment, Mr. Reyes. Manuel, let me begin with you. First of all, just kind of clarify, what is your status? Are you both American citizens or not?
We have believed that we're American citizens since the day we were born, due to my mother being a born American mother.
So immigration is saying that you have not provided the proper documents and thereby you would likely be deported. So where are the documents, or what has happened with your response to immigration?
Well, they say that, but we have proof papers that we have provided proper documents, and they ask for more different documents, which they have it, which in my case, they ask for more criminal records, which Homeland Security is police, and they should have that on hand.
Now, is it your feeling because of the pleading guilty of these misdemeanor charges that is what has now jeopardized your status here in the U.S.?
Yes, ma'am, because things that act have changed and done a lot of changing in this day and time, and I believe that's the case.
And Valente, what's the next step? What are you and your brother being requested to do? You have a court appearance upcoming?
Yes, well, I did this Thursday, and I was told that I didn't have to show up for court. So I'm in limbo right now, and I'm just waiting to hear from my lawyer.
And what's the timeline? You both say that the U.S. is asking, or they have sent you some kind of letter or documentation that says that you're facing deportation. Have they given you a date, a timeline, a deadline?
Let me clarify this. Our ordeal began in '09, and it's 3 years now. Each of us has gone to the immigration court 4 times already, and we are like in house arrest. We are in limbo. We don't know what's going on.
Well, Mr. Reyes, let me bring you into this equation because reportedly a number of U.S. military servicemen, upwards of 3,000, have faced this very juncture. So,
absolutely.
I guess the question is, how is it that they could serve for the U.S. military and have not provided some sort of documentation? Or is it the case that there are many active duty or even military veterans who are not U.S. citizens and find themselves in the same kind of predicament?
Well, in actuality, there are thousands of people who serve in the U.S. military who are not citizens. Many of them are legal residents or people with pending citizenship. But in the case of these two brothers, what's so striking to me is, you know, their mother was an American citizen. So American case law is very clear. If you are a child of an American citizen born abroad, you are an American, whether or not you have the documentation. And the perfect example of this is Mitt Romney's father, George. His father was born in Mexico, but there has really never been any question that George was an American. Because, you know, as long as one parent has citizenship, the child has American citizenship.
So
and that's very well settled law.
What is at the root of these brothers, then? Why do you suppose they are now facing possible deportation if what you said certainly validates that they are American citizens?
Right. Well, I think what's happened is our immigration system today is so decentralized that it takes a long time for the message to get from Washington to all the regional offices. I mean, it was just last year in August that Department of Homeland Security unveiled these new guidelines for halting orders of deportation. And even under these guidelines, even if you were to somehow challenge the brothers' citizenship under these guidelines, which include factors like length of time in the country, military service, ties to the community. Even under these factors, they have an outstanding case for the order of deportation to be canceled. And, you know, just on a personal level, I really think it's outrageous that these two men who, you know, they're senior citizens, these are older gentlemen who served our country at a time when so many Americans resisted going to serve in the Vietnam War. You know, I think it's very unfortunate that they're being dragged through this whole ordeal of having to show their papers, prove that they are Americans, and that's very unfortunate, unfair.
And you use the word dragged out, and we're talking more than 30 years ago they served. They have Social Security numbers, and in order to get a Social Security number, don't you have to be a U.S. citizen?
Right. And also, could I just add about the misdemeanors that you mentioned? That's a very minor issue, and in fact, there's members of Congress serving today who have misdemeanors, so that's really like a negligible issue.
Okay, Raul Reyes, thanks so much. Emmanuel and Valente Valenzuela, keep us posted on all that takes place. Appreciate your time.
Excuse me, could I say a paragraph here that's very, very important?
Really quickly, because we're about out of time.
Okay, this was the President of the United States. Judge Sheehan, a Supreme Court justice, back in July, made a decision on a veteran who committed murder previous to the law of 96. He was allowed to stay. President Carter pardoned draft dodgers after the Vietnam War and brought them home. A governor last month early released 200 murders. Why can't President Obama and the commander-in-chief of the military that says he is always there for these veterans when they come home, pardon this men, all these veterans, and bring all them home to their American wives and American children.
All right, Mr. Valenzuela.
Good luck to you, brother. Right on.
We will try to see if we can get a response from the White House, because I assure you they're likely listening. Appreciate you all's time.
Thank you.
A nurse in New Jersey has spent the last 4 decades working in the operating room. She's in her 60s, but she says she is nowhere near retirement. And